At the start of the new school year, Clark sends a video message to Whitney, who's overseas during a heat wave. Clark missed Chloe during the summer. She says she met a good-looking intern from Metropolis. During class, the kids have a new biology teacher. The guys are in love. During a reproduction video, Clark looks back at Miss Atkins. She tells him to look forward. However, he glances back again and then suddenly his eyes start flickering. Heat waves are released through his eyes. The projector screen is set on fire. The kids then run out of the class. As the fire department is there, Lex suddenly arrives. He says he came as soon as he heard and then suddenly runs up to Miss Atkins. She says that Clark kept his head cool and put out the fire. Lex says that she's his fiancée, Desiree Atkins. When Clark asks him if he's sure about this relationship, he says he has never been so sure. He then hands Clark a wedding invitation for tonight and wants him to be his best man. Clark is surprised but accepts it. Lex wants Desiree to sign a prenuptial agreement so that his father cannot disinherit him. When he gives her a kiss, we see her release something into Lex's mouth and says she doesn't want to sign it. He somehow agrees not to sign it and tears the document apart. Clark tells his parents that he caused the fire because it was hot. When his dad asks for more details, he tells him it happened during an educational film. Jonathan says he needs to get a hand on it, but Clark's frustrated. At Lex's wedding, Clark talks with Chloe about their current relation. Lex is completely in love with Desiree. Later, Clark sends another message to Whitney. When Lana asks what he and Whitney talked about, he says it was about keeping an eye on her. But Lana struggles with her relationship. She also finds Lex's marriage choice weird, but likes his passion. Clark suddenly doesn't feel well. He suddenly releases the heat waves again, and the coffee machine is set on fire. He continues to burn the wall as well. The wall is on fire. The next day, Clark's not going to school due to the incident. The fire department said the fire looked suspicious. He's afraid. Jonathan says he knows what is triggering this thing. They put up a dummy to practice. He tells Clark to imagine exactly what he was thinking of when it happened first. Clark wants to be alone when he does it. As Clark concentrates, he says Lana and then fires the beams. Jonathan's laughing. We then see Clark heating up popcorn and he's now able to control this new ability. Clark's putting up candles now. Suddenly Desiree enters, who came to see him. She says she likes younger guys and saw him staring at her. She wants to work on their teacher-student relations and then release the same thing into Clark's mouth. But he rejects to kiss her. He says Lex is his best friend. She tells him not to tell Lex about this. Chloe finds out that Desiree has an alias. Clark says she tried to seduce him, but she doesn't believe him. Clark believes she has some type of hold of Lex. Lex says that Desiree told him everything. Clark shows him her alias, but he wants an apology. Clark then tells her he's not dropping it. When Lex asks her about the name, she says she changed her name, but now she's a Luthor. He doesn't like that she kept it from him. But she does her trick again and Lex is back in the trance, and then tells him that Clark and everything else in the town is in his past now. Chloe says it was a mistake to go to the spring formal with Clark. She's still not over him. She made up the story about the guy in Metropolis. When Lana tells her that Clark cares about her, she says he cares more about her. Lex has decided to close the town suddenly and Lana's evicted. Lana says that Lex is closing because of the damage that was caused. Clark tells Desiree that this was not Lex's decision. She says it was their decision and she needed to prove a point. She says she can control the people in his life and then threatens Clark and the town and wants him to back off. We see Desiree's car leaking and she sets it on fire. Then the car explodes. Martha's angry when Clark tells him that Desiree came onto him. There's suddenly a knock on the door and the sheriff says that Miss Luthor saw Clark set a car on fire. This is the third suspicious fire he was around and then puts him under custody. Jonathan tells him to listen. They will look into it. Lex is selling the town. Martha's not happy about Desiree. She saw Lex as Clark's friend and he stood by Lex always. But Lex doesn't doubt his wife. Martha says he married her after knowing her only a week. Jonathan arrives at the mansion as Desiree comes out of the pool. She tells him that Clark is a troubled young man who sets things on fire. Jonathan decides to walk away as she is not reasonable. She says she's sorry and says it's Lex's fault, but then tricks him and wants him to do something for her. The girls visit Clark at jail. They found out that Desiree went by a different name and was during the meteor shower in an intimate act with her boyfriend. Afterwards, he murdered her parents and she inherited everything. Since then, she has been going after wealthy men, and Clark believes that she wanted him to kill Lex so that she could inherit his wealth as well. He tells him that his dad went to see her and he needs to get out. He then sees an electrical box, and we hear his eye beams. There is a fire at the building. When the sheriff opens the cell door, Clark gets away. Lex says he feels like he lost all sense of reason after meeting her. She says everything is hers. He then asks her if she plans to kill him. She then lets Jonathan in, who aims a shotgun at him. As Lex reaches, he shoots at the phone. As Jonathan fires the bullet, Clark shoots his laser beams and the bullet dissolves. When Jonathan proceeds, Clark slams him accidentally. As Lex approaches Desiree, she hits him with a bottle and then sets him on fire. As she tries to get away, Clark heats up the door handle, which burns her hand. Clark then quickly covers Lex. Jonathan says that after Lex's statement, the arson charges have been dropped. Lex has annulled the marriage. Clark says he'll wait for Lana until she has worked out her relationship with Whitney. As Lana records a message for Whitney, Clark arrives to help her. Lex has gifted the shop a new espresso machine. They are back in business. Lana finds it weird how Desiree managed to seduce everyone but Clark. He says she wasn't his type. He also finds it weird that Clark was around all the 3 fires. When he asks her about the tape, she says she has decided to finally tell Whitney how she really feels. When Clark leaves, she begins her final recording. She wants to be honest with him.